precepts tonight. Anyone is welcome, and we this happened to be on the precept of anger, in case it has any relevance to anything in your life or in the world. Anyway, we'll do that. It's a separate link. It starts at 6:45. Practice period. We're in practice period. Continuous practice. The whole world is holding us, waking us up, and we are waking the whole world up through our intention and effort. And Buddha's Enlightenment Retreat, which is the beginning of December. We've started to put it in the newsletter, and we'll send something out maybe later this week or soon. It's we don't do 70-day sessions. Yet, who knows? We don't do 5-day retreats yet, who knows? Although we do Sangha weeks at Tassajara. But this is Buddha's Enlightenment retreats happen all over the world. They're traditionally 7 days long, a lot of sitting. And we're going to do it in our own way, which is not non-residential, but it's really important, if you can, to do both days. There is something that happens when you sit down and together. Wake up, come and sit together all day, go home, go to sleep, come back, wake up, sit together all day, and then we'll have a Shuso ceremony. So I highly recommend it. And there's also housing, so people could come from out of town. We love that. Okay. I want to recommend that this Thursday and on Tuesday, Constance is giving talks. They will both be, I'm sure, wonderful. And Thursday is going to be, if you can come in, and we'll try to do it on screen too, but it's going to be fun. Not that this isn't always fun. I'm going to be really fun to me too, but Constance is really going to be fun on Thursday, and so will Tuesday. So, and then I think that's Thanksgiving, isn't it? So then we're not here on Thanksgiving. Okay. So we are in the midst of the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra has opened the heart of the cosmos, and Shakyamuni Buddha of the historical realm and abundant treasures Buddha of the abundant treasures of the isness of everything, the ultimate realm, are sitting together in the stupa up in the sky. I'm sure you're walking around with this, thinking about this all the time. But it's like it's our hearts are opening. Our hearts are opening to this very life here on earth, and this very life. And we are part of everything, and there is so much more going on here than we can even begin to imagine. And then, as if that isn't enough, because the Buddha has illuminated all the realms, and there's Buddhas everywhere, and they've all come down, and they're all honoring this very realm here on earth. And then all the Buddhas come up out of the earth that have been practicing here forever. So the message is, it may not always look so great, but it's actually pretty cool here to be here on earth. And there's something very beautiful and some great joyful responsibility to be here on earth. So we're going to cover tonight, we'll see, hang on, chapter 17, 18, 19, 21, and 22. You ready? Okay. Chapter 17, 18, and 19 are all about different language. Thich Nhat Hanh uses merit And Jean Reeves uses blessings. Jean Reeves says merit in Chinese characters are two characters. One is daily practice and one is virtuous conduct. But the heart of it is the realization of when we practice every day, every moment, trying to be the best person in the Buddha that we are, that is realization. This is it. And the more that we are being the Buddha that we are, I'm the Buddha that I am and the Buddha that you are, and together we're opening Buddha realms. So there's this blessing that happens as we more and more realize that given everything is interconnected, everything is profoundly and radically and dynamically alive, that the appropriate response is skillful means. And how can we be of help? And the more that we do that, chapter 17 is called The Variety of Blessings. When you hear the Lotus Sutra and you feel joy, contentment, or faith, even for 1 minute, you've already broken the sound barrier in this lifetime. It's like something cellular has happened and is happening and always has been happening. And Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm going to call on him a lot tonight, says that a lot of this has to do with our capacity to bear happiness. Mm-hmm. How much can you bear being happy? Isn't that nice? That's a really different reframe than how much suffering can you bear. We're in a different. So here's what he says. The teachings of the Lotus Sutra on the ultimate dimension is a very great and joyful truth. And from our limited perspective of reality, we have etched in our minds the idea of birth and death, of coming and going, existence and non-existence. That's how we view the world, right? We've gotten used to this view of reality, and now someone comes along and opens up the treasure of the ultimate for us, the priceless truth of no birth, no death, of infinite lifespans, essential Buddha nature, and imminent Buddhahood. You're all a Buddha, waking up to be Buddha. And there's no beginning or end to this. And there's no end to the cosmic joy that looks like birth and death, but it's that, but it's not that. And it's way more than that. Thich Nhat Hanh says, are we able to bear such a profound truth or not? How big and wide open our hearts and life is. When we hear the Buddha teach this truth and we are able to practice it, bear it, accept it, and hold it in our hearts, smile and have faith in it, then we will enjoy the fruit of great merit. If you are able, just in case none of this is making any sense and you think, well, boy, I sure blew that one. If you are able to hear this wonderful Dharma from a friend or from a teacher, from a bird singing, or from the sound of a flowing stream, it's everywhere. Everything is singing the Lotus Sutra and waking us up. If you read or hear the sutra, understand and have faith in it, get in touch with the ultimate dimension of the Tathagata and of everything in the universe, then right in that moment, you are sitting alongside the Buddha. You hear a bird song. You've had that experience, haven't you? You hear a bird song and it's in time, but it's timeless. Or a hoot of an owl. Or something even drops on the floor. It's like time cracks open. And you don't get it. Your mind can't get it, but your body somehow gets it. You do not have to go back 2,500 years to be able to see and touch the Buddha. You are able to realize that profound happiness right now in this very moment. But you sometimes have that experience when you're sitting zazen. That you drop body and mind, and it's you sitting on the cushion, and it's all of us here, but there is something kind of universal and timeless. Space opens. And of course, the minute you try to think about it and put it in a box and hold on to it, it's like you're right back in time. And well, I thought I experienced something, but I thought I had it for a minute there. Okay, so chapter 18 then says, if this happens, the more you entrust your life to this big view, to big love, the more you entrust yourself to love that's beyond love, it makes everybody else happy. It's like it's contagious. So I was going to tell a story. Is Bruce and I some years ago, Bruce, my partner, and I some years ago did a pilgrimage in India, and we did the sites of Buddha's birth and death, and can't think of it right, but that whole area is one of the most now is one of the poorest and most violent areas of India. I mean, there's some kind of paradox, or like how could that be? So I was getting really tired. Traveling in India, it's just the two of us, is not so, I mean, we weren't on a tour. I was like, okay, this is nice. Let's go find something more pleasant to do here. And it happened about the time that we were going to Kusinagara, which is where Buddha died. And you go into the stupa, and there's a big gold reclining Buddha. And there are people who have made pilgrimage from all over the world, bowing and chanting and weeping and feeling joy. And I thought, you think, Chris, you're going to quit? It was like it was so contagious that I walked out of there, and there was just no question that I was going to finish the pilgrimage. And in fact, it's why I'm here right now. It was completely contagious, the faith of the people who were there, completely giving themselves to this practice in a way that was beyond. I mean, there's sadness the Buddha died, but the message is the Buddha didn't die. We were all just there celebrating together. So it's contagious. You coming and sitting in Sangha is contagious. Look at all these people here. You think they're here just because they're enlightened? No, excuse me. No. You're okay because you're enlightened, but you also became because the person next to you is here. And we come for each other. And we come because of the joy and the suffering in the world. And that's just how it works. So then the next chapter is chapter 19, which is called The Blessings of the Dharma Teacher. Now, I always avoided this chapter because some part of me thought, I don't want to pick up that one, and I don't know what Dharma teachers are anyway. But this time, I think this is so cool because we're all Dharma teachers, and some people are more Dharma teachers. I mean, it's like, look at Constance. She didn't know she was a Dharma teacher, and here she is up here making everybody joyful. So what this chapter does is it talks about, I want to be aware of time. So I think I'm going to read Thich Nhat Hanh instead. But that the more you open to this realm, and the more you open to the joy of a life that is both time and particular and timeless and boundless and inexplicable, your senses open. Is that your eyes, you begin to see in a new way, and you begin to hear in a new way. And then it goes through all the different senses and says that your tongue gets more sensitive to taste. That would be a very good thing for a cook. And your smell and your body begins to get much more purified, and your mind. But I don't think this is something special. I mean, I'm sure it's special if you were really a Buddha, but given that I'm not really a Buddha and neither are you, but we are all waking up to be Buddhas, my body is more acute and more sensitive than it was, say, 40 years ago. Yeah, it's like something gets more subtle on a cellular level. I think that's really, so here's what Thich Nhat Hanh says about that. the merit or the blessings of this teachings affects a great change in the field of our 6 sense organs, our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. When we are able to receive the truth of the Lotus Sutra, our sense perceptions undergo a profound transformation. Automatically, our eyes are able to see things that before we were not able to see. We attain the eyes of Dharma that are able to look deeply and to see the true nature and suchness of all Dharmas. All phenomena in the world of our perceptions. It's like suddenly you can look at a plant and see the whole world in a beam of light or in a dewdrop. It's on a plant. I think you have a sense of what I'm talking about. With Dharma eyes, we can look into a wilted and yellow autumn leaf and see its wonderful green, fresh nature. We can see that one leaf, whether old or yellowed or green and fresh, contains all the merits and blessings and all the wonderful isness and suchness of the universe. The eyes of someone who has received and who maintains the teachings of this sutra, the truth of the ultimate, are able to see the limitless lifespan, the unborn and undying nature of everything. This is the first merit, the transformation of our sight. But then ears, now we're able to hear deeply. We can hear the music of the birds singing, the sound of the wind in the pine trees, and even the very subtle sound of a flower opening. Isn't that cool? We all have a taste of that. I want to be able to listen more deeply to flowers opening myself. And while we are listening to these sounds, we experience their wondrous ultimate nature. Birdsong expresses the truth of the ultimate dimension of all phenomena. Listening deeply to the sound of the wind in the pine trees, we hear the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. Listen to the sound of the rain on your roof. That's the Lotus Sutra. Listen, it's everywhere. In the same way, all of our senses are transformed. Each of our sense organs comes into contact with an object out there, and we receive the truth of the Lotus Sutra in mutuality, culminating in the transformation of the mind faculty and our mental formation. In other words, we become less and less convinced that it's over there and it's other. There's just this field of Buddha, this Buddha field that is alive, that we are in, and it is us, and it is we are turning it, and it is turning us. Does this make any sense? Do you have a little sense of what yeah, it's intuitive. It's intuitive. Okay. Then this is good news. Then you don't have to study all of the Buddhist sutras. You don't have to read or understand all of the Lotus Sutra. Everything contains the one. All you have to do is just be blown away by a drop of water or a snowflake. That's the entire Lotus Sutra. Okay. That's chapter 19. Chapter 21. We're doing good, huh? Okay, chapter 21 is really amazing. Thich Nhat Hanh calls it the light of mindfulness, and Gene Reeves calls it the divine powers of the Tathagata. So I am going to read you part of this. I'm going to read it from, instead of the long one, which you can read yourself, I want to read you from the condensed version, just so you have a sense of the wondrousness of the Lotus Sutra. Let go of your conscious mind. Would you just listen? Just open your senses and your pores and just kind of imagine. Okay. All of the billions of bodhisattvas who had sprung up from below the earth in the story promised the Buddha that they will continue to preach the Dharma Flower Sutra everywhere. both in the world where the Buddha is embodied with other Buddhas and in this world in which the Buddha has died. So Buddha's all of the manifestations and all the infinite worlds, and Buddha is going to die in this world just like we all are. And why are they going to do that? Because they want to gain and understand this great Dharma and this beautiful sutra. And then Buddha gets so excited. Do you want to know what Buddha does? You have to say yes.
Yes.
The Buddha then displays his divine powers by extending his long and broad tongue up to the Brahma heaven and emitting from the pores of his body magnificent many-colored light that illuminates all the worlds in all directions. Can you imagine? Just imagine me sitting here in a rainbow body with my tongue out and illuminating, light coming off my tongue and illuminating all the worlds. I mean, not really me, but I'm just giving you some object to imagine. And then all the other Buddhas seated on lion seats under jewel trees stretch out their tongues and emit rays of light from their bodies. Okay, let's practice. Stretch out your tongue and just imagine that you are a rainbow body. Just for a minute here. Just be a kid, okay? 1, 2, 3. I can kind of feel it. And then, you know what happens after hundreds of thousand years? This goes on for 100,000 years. See, you're getting off easy. All the Buddhas draw back their tongues and they cough simultaneously. Okay, let's all cough. I mean, cover your mouth here. Let's all cough simultaneously. And then you snap your fingers in unison. Whoa. And these two sounds travel throughout the universe and cause the earth in each of the lands to shake in the 6 ways. Can you feel it? Look again, that's fun. Okay. So all the worlds open up. It's clear that they're separate worlds, but they're one world. And the verse at the end of the chapter says, just as the light of the sun and the moon can dispel darkness, such a person working in the world can dispel the gloom of living beings, leading innumerable bodhisattvas finally to dwell in the one vehicle. All you have to do is keep saying, yes, I will. Yes, I will. And it's a separate world, and you're you, and I'm me. But it just keeps opening the cosmos. And if you doubt it, click your fingers and see what happens, or stick out your tongue. So let's see for a minute here what Thich Nhat Hanh has to say about this. Many of us go around all the time feeling that we are small as a grain of sand. We may feel that our one small human life does not have very much meaning. We struggle to get through life, and at the end of our life, we feel that we have accomplished very little. This is a kind of inferiority complex many people suffer from. If we see reality only in terms of the historical dimension, it may seem to us as if there is one little ordinary human being can do. But if we get in touch with the ultimate dimension of reality, we know that we are just like a Buddha. We share in the Buddha's nature. We are Buddha nature. And when we are able to see beyond the limitations of perceived time and space, beyond our own notions of inferiority and powerlessness, we find that we have great stores of spiritual energy to share with the world. Get a hint when you sit zazen. You get a hint when you're doing all this sitting. Suddenly it's the same reality, but something's a little different. You do a longer sitting, you get that feeling. Sometimes there's just moments where you just are walking down a path and the whole world opens. It's the same world and it's completely different. Okay. Chapter 22, we're going to do it. It's called entrustment or entrusting. The Buddha says to everybody, all these Buddha realms, and to each one of us and you, I entrust all of this to you. Thank you for coming so that the stupa could rise up out of the earth and the door could open so that you could all see how vast and amazing this universe is. And then he confers the responsibility to all the bodhisattvas, and says, please return to your worlds. I could say, please go home to your home. Please go home to whatever you think your world is and continue helping and leading to help people wake up. So here's what he does. Shakyamuni Buddha then places his right hand on the heads of all the assembled bodhisattvas 3 times. Can you touch your own head 3 times? Just like with a sense of contact and trust and love. And entrust the teaching of the Dharma Flower Sutra to them. You have now been entrusted. And urges you to spread it with all your hearts and make it known far and wide. Be sure that the sutra, probably don't want to go in a grocery store line and start reciting the Lotus Sutra, but to be it, to have a sense of just this, just here, and it's the whole universe, so that everyone can wake up to it, and that the Buddha is the great gift giver for all living beings. There is great compassion. It is not stingy or begrudging. There is no fear, and there is natural wisdom. And the bodhisattvas respond by promising 3 times to do what they have been asked, and by pleading with the Buddha not to worry about it. We got it, Buddha. We're going to take care of it. And then the Buddha tells all the assembled Buddhas, including abundant treasure Buddha in his stupa, to return in peace to where they had come from. And with this, everyone in the assembly is filled with joy. Just a little of Thich Nhat Hanh's commentary on this. Our works, our actions, our very way of being are our emanation bodies that travel throughout the world widely and continue to have an effect on others for a long time. We are way more powerful than we know we are. Every one of us has many emanation bodies in all parts of the world, but the result of these emanation bodies is not something we can easily measure. If we, like Shakyamuni Buddha, were to realize the miracle of gathering together all our manifestation bodies in an instant in one place, we would feel such great happiness, joy of a kind that we rarely experience. So we need to remember that our studies and practice are not just for our individual benefit, but for our family and community and nation and the entire earth. Our mistakes cause others to suffer, and our success in the practice can manifest many beings. This is why it is so important to practice, he says, the art of mindfulness, so that our emanation bodies offer only love and compassion and bring benefit, not harm, to others. What kind of little emanation bodies are you lighting up as you go around through your day, in your family, and in your work, and wherever we are? May our little emanation seeds that we're leaving everywhere, may they bring some kind of brightness and joy to people. The Buddha shows great faith in us by entrusting the wonderful Dharma to us. We can repay this trust and faith by becoming the arms and hands of the Buddha and continuing the Tathagata's great work of leading all beings to the shore of liberation. I just had the thought, and maybe I can't remember where the quote came from. Maybe one of you will remember. Is something about fundamentally, it's not that we're so afraid of our powerlessness, but that we're actually more afraid of our power. It's. Do you remember that? Where's that quote from?
Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. Can you, what is that? That's the gist of it, right? Is that we really are more